Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the SU Leadership Race Debates 2018. We're on the second day of debates now, and tonight we will be debating VP Welfare and Community, VP Activities, and of course the President. If you've got any questions, please do send them in on Facebook. We'll be picking them up as we go through the evening. The sooner you get them in, the better for everybody, and we can get them planned in. If you missed any of our debates from last night, make sure to go back and give everybody a watch. It was a really good evening, so I would highly recommend watching everybody. Our first debate of this evening is VP Welfare and Community. We're going to take a split second just to introduce the candidates, and then they will have opportunity to answer 2 questions. They will then have opportunity to ask a question to another candidate. We'll then take questions from Facebook, and then we'll take their final thoughts. So we'll get straight into it. Candidate number 1, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Taran Baragwanith. I'm a 4th year student. I study sociology and anthropology. I've been involved with lots of stuff around the SU for the last few years, and I'm really passionate about LGBT rights, women's liberation and BAME liberation as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Candidate number 2, introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Erica and I'm a 3rd year biological science student. People around me has been described me as friendly, humorous, easygoing person. So I like talking to people as well, and I'm a really good listener. So hopefully I can get lots of opinions from you all and work for you.
Great stuff. Candidate number 3, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Patrick Davey and I'm a final year student studying politics with human rights. I was motivated to apply for this role because basically I'm really interested in student issues. I'd like to think I'm at the end of my studies now, so I put student issues before my own. And outside of my studies, I'm really interested in volunteering, and I'm an active member of the Debating Society.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Finally, candidate number 4, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Kaylin Toms and I'm a 3rd year film student. I wanted to be VP Welfare for you all because I'm really interested in student life. I'm very involved in that. I have worked in a university before and I just love everything to do with student life and making sure that everyone can have the best experience possible while here.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So our first question revolves around experience. So Taran, over to you to start with. What qualifies you to be the best person to look after communities on campus?
So the things that I think qualify me best, I've been here a very long time now, but during that time I've been involved. I've sat on SU Exec for 2 years. I've been a really good advocate for the community that I represent as well. I've also sat on lots of society execs. I'm especially interested and very involved in student liberation at the university. I've done stuff with the university and outside charities such as Outhouse East, where I sat on the organisational committee for Colchester's First Pride. I've been involved with charities such as CARA, which is the Centre for Action on Rape and Abuse, and also Colchester and Tenderings Women's Refuge, which is through societies and outside as well, and within my executive role at the university. It's basically, I think that this gives me like a really good kind of base where to build stuff on. Like, I'm sure many people know who I am. I'm really blunt. I don't take no for an answer, and I really am passionate about standing up for issues that I think are a problem that students face today.
Fantastic, thank you, Taran. Erica, over to you. What qualifies you to be the best person to look after communities on campus?
So I'm from Hong Kong, and that is a city which is a really, it's an international city where there's like a wide variety of nationalities of people mixed together. And I'm really used to working with people who has different standpoints and views. And I also came here for my GCSE 7 years ago, and my high school was actually a really international platform for me to meet people all around the world. I was also a deputy head girl, so I'm really good with handling people's opinions and really work towards what they really want. I was a social secretary of Korean Society last year, and I've been holding a wide variety of events that actually was suggested by all the members. So just want to emphasize that I'm really good at handling different opinions and respecting people's thinking and thoughts.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Patrick, over to you.
Okay, so before I came to Essex, I had a diverse range of experiences. Before I started, I'd actually had a few years out of education, and I believe it gives me a different perspective to other candidates and other students at university. We have such a diverse community here, and it's about harnessing that wherever possible. In my previous experience, I've worked as a secretary for Amnesty International, and I also studied abroad in Germany, so I got a different range of perspectives. I think we need to look into really what makes students happy at Essex and why they are so discontent if they are discontent. We need to look into what really motivates them, and at the moment we see that a lot of them are discontent because they don't feel included, and we need to work with that. What I'd looked into specifically is mental health and why people feel so unhappy at Essex and provide better support mechanisms for them. Also, university can be a great time, but it can also be a disappointing time, and we need to acknowledge this and work with it rather than pretending that it isn't an issue.
Cool, thank you for that one, Patrick. Kaylin, finally over to you. What makes you the person to look after communities on campus?
Well, ever since starting at Essex, I've been very involved with a lot of societies. In my second year, I was social secretary for the Sci-Fi and Fantasy Society, and I'm currently the secretary for the Comic Book Society. I very much love getting involved with people, getting to know people. Like, that is definitely me. If you've ever met me before, you'll know I'm a very talkative, social person. So I'm definitely feel very involved with this community here. It's a very liberal, diverse community, as Patrick said. Like, I completely agree, and that is what I love most about this. I came from Northern Ireland, and it was nothing like this. It was much more rigid, I guess, where I came from. So I just absolutely love Essex for that. I've worked in town as well. I've had jobs in town. I've had jobs on campus working as a student support front runner. I'm currently a student ambassador. I'm a course rep, so I've gotten to know a lot of students, and I know both sides, and I can see the differences between those two communities of student and town life. And I would love it if we could merge that ever so slightly more and make it a better, bigger community.
Fantastic. All good answers for our first question. So we're going to go in the same order for the second question, which is talking about mental health. I think we all know that mental health is pretty important. And as VP Welfare, mental health is something that you guys will be considering a lot if you to get the job. So the question is, what do mental health services mean to you? And what is currently lacking in the university's provision? Taryn, over to you.
Yeah, I think mental health, like looking at everybody that's just everyone's campaigns this year, mental health has been a really big priority, which is amazing to see. I personally have suffered from mental health issues at the past, which has affected my university career. I intermitted during my second year because I had a lot of mental health issues, so it's something where I've had to access university services myself, and I think the problem that I found is that they aren't well signposted. It's very difficult unless you know exactly what you're looking for. It can be a really scary time, and especially if you have mental health issues and you're really struggling, it can be very isolating, and it's really difficult to kind of actually go out and access stuff like that. And I think that what we need to do is we need to kind of advertise these services so that they're not this really scary kind of dramatic thing, because lots of people have them. Universities do struggle with mental health a lot, and I think it's something where we need to advertise mental health services before we get to the point where people are really struggling and they're by themselves on that as well.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Erica, what do you think about mental health? What does mental health services mean to you, and what is currently lacking in the university's provision?
So for me, I believe everyone would agree that mental health is getting really, it's just around us. It's not something rare to see nowadays. People are really stressful about stuff because it's just how the community it is nowadays. I feel like the University of Essex got a lot of mental health support schemes and a place to go to when you need. But actually, I feel like the help shouldn't be just I'll always be there. It shouldn't be something like, it's here, you should approach it. But instead, the help should be reaching out to people who's in need. Because people, let's say, they have depression or different kinds of difficulties, they will feel like closing up, and they will feel sometimes that they are shy, or maybe it's not something that they should be open up. So I feel like we should be reaching out to them instead of just be in our position and say, come to us.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Patrick, over to you.
Well, I think we should call it what it is, and it is a crisis, mental health at the moment. And as Taryn said, I think it's great that all the candidates are talking about this. When I first stood and put it as a centrepiece piece in my manifesto, I didn't know what other candidates would be doing, other than I had my personal experience with mental health. It caused a lot of disruption in my life beforehand, but I can now see it objectively for what it is. I'd say in terms of the services, it's great that the services are there. What I'd propose is potentially in the future, I would have a portal where people could rate their experiences anonymously, for example, rather than just going on the freshers page or something. I'd also want to bring it to the Vice-Chancellor's attention that there is a shortage of staff, that those staff should be better valued. For example, if I can't get an appointment, I still then need to feel that I'm empowered so that I go out of that appointment feeling like I can take control of this, and at the moment that's not happening.
Interesting, thank you very much. So again, Kaylin, over to you. The question is, what do mental health services mean to you, and what is currently lacking in the university's provision?
Mental health services are very important to me. I've had personal experiences with them, and so have a lot of my friends. I think it's something that's not addressed enough at uni. I know it is known that a lot of students deal with it, but I don't feel like it's been properly addressed. The first couple of years being at uni, there was a lot of very good counselling and mentoring, and there was some very good support there, but I actually feel in the last year especially that has been dwindling. For example, the drop-in hours at the Silbrad have been decreasing in time, and I think that's kind of unacceptable. Personally, I would like it if it was actually made longer to accommodate more people and advertise better so more people knew about that, and potentially bringing in more counsellors so that would be shorter waiting lists, because at the moment a lot of people are waiting for a lot of people to be seen. And I think that's terrible, actually. I don't think it's very lacking, and we really need to work on that. And that's something I think is very important, because how can you be expected to finish your degree to the best of your ability if you're not being given the best support while doing your degree?
Interesting, all really good answers on something that we can all kind of talk about and I'm sure have a lot of opinions on. Excuse me. So now we're going to break for an opportunity for the candidates to ask each other questions. Just before we start that, I'd like to invite everybody watching at home on Facebook to send in their questions. If there's anything that you'd like to pose to the candidates, if there's anything they mentioned that you'd like a little bit more detail on, or if there's anything that you haven't heard them talk about that you would like to, do send them in and we'll get them addressed to the candidates. So now we're going to offer candidates an opportunity to ask each other questions. Taryn, is there anybody on the panel that you would like to ask anything to?
Yeah, I've got a question for Kaylin. After the university has just spent 12 million building the new sports arena, is expanding the gym really a viable option, and how would you go about doing that?
That's a very good question. I think yes, it is. Considering the amount of money every year students are expected to spend on a gym membership. I currently have a gold membership, and that's £220 a year, and I pay it in one instalment in the autumn and then 3 instalments month after month, February to May. And I just think with that amount of money going towards it, a lot of students feel like they're not getting like the bang for their buck, and that's something I want to improve on. I've spoken to a lot of students that would like even just a couple of extra weights. I believe that is definitely viable. With I was thinking about working with the arena to see if there were any rooms that could maybe be moved to weights, or like the weights area specifically, it distributed better in the gym so that there was room for other weights to go in, because at the moment I feel like the equipment could be updated, and I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed, because a lot of students are turning to the gym in town, because even though our gym is so much closer, it's so much cheaper and better to be in town right now, and I feel like physical well-being is so important. That's something we really need to work on.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Great question. Erica, is there anybody else on the panel you'd like to ask a question to?
Yeah, I have a question for Patrick. So the strike is a really hot topic right now. If a student comes up and be like, I'm really worried about my learning and my studies, what would you do, and what would you recommend the uni can be helping them?
Wow, thanks for the question on that one. I would say to them that you are right to be concerned. I would say at the moment that generally we support the strike, we support the principle behind the strike, that it's not fair that these people who've been working hard all their lives should be missing out on their pensions. However, we understand the students' concerns. We discussed this as an SU last week in terms of what stance we'd have on it. At the moment, we believe that we won't we want to supplement the education loss where possible, but it's difficult to know how we can do that in all cases, other than say that maybe go to individual tutors and lecturers and say that, look, there's going to be people affected by this. I think the main thing is that when I first heard about it, I had no awareness of just how many people would be affected. And so that's coming clear now, and we need to work with that whilst acknowledging that these people are striking for good reasons.
Fantastic. Thank you, Patrick. Now it's your opportunity to ask another member of the panel a question, if you fancy it.
Okay, I'll ask one to Taryn. Just generally on student nights out and safety, how do you see the situation at the moment, and is there anything that we can do better to help students feel safe?
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely fantastic question. I personally think that a lot more can be done to encourage student safety on nights out. It's something that, as I've been on part-time exec, is something that has cropped up repeatedly. So, for instance, last year we had lots of problems with spiking, which we tried to mitigate, but it was very much a kind of, oh, we need to deal with this now without having problems, without having kind of safety net set up beforehand. I think that was a massive issue, and I think stuff like the safety bus needs to be it's such a brilliant service that the SU runs, and I think it's inspired like a lot of SUs around the country, and it's definitely something that we can build on as well. I think we need to increase sensitivity training to all bar staff, including door staff and also bar staff as well. Something that, like that Ask Angela that Tanki brought in as well. That's something I've worked on within my own community as well for specific Liberation Nights Out.
Great stuff. Finally, Kaylin, is there anybody on the panel you'd like to ask a question to?
Yeah, I'd like to direct it to Erica, and I'd say if there's one policy that you would really love to implement out of all your proposed policies, what would it be? What is the top priority policy?
Thank you for the question, and I would really like to change how SU Advice work and all the mental support or like well-being support on campus, because as I've just said that everything is just right there, out there, but it's not that approachable for students who are really in need. Let's say they are having difficulties with opening up themselves. So I would really, instead of saying that all the help is here and here, you can go for it, I would be the one who's reaching out, because I've been hearing people talking about like they have mental problem. Let's say they would be throwing up behind their friends but not saying it because they're too shy to reach out. So I would really want to be the person to reach out to them, like, look, I know that you're struggling, but we're here for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, candidates. All really good questions there. So now we're going to move on to another question, which is about what the SU currently offers and more that we can do. So Taryn, we'll start with you for this one. What can be done to make students more aware of the services that the SU currently offer?
I think that's a really good question. It's something I've mentioned in my manifesto as well. I think that the SU can do a lot more. I think stuff like the wellbeing survey that's just recently closed yesterday, I think that's a really good start for kind of actually gauging what students want to see from the service, from the SU as a whole. So I think that's really good. I think the work that SU Advice does is really underrated. They do so much as a very kind of small part of the SU, and they deal with so many students, and it's definitely something that should be much more celebrated and expanded on, especially as they deal with so many issues from like Tier 4 visas right down to examining like extenuating circumstances and like late submission forms as well. So I think that it needs to be advertised more before students get to a kind of point where they kind of get stressed about stuff, because that's when it gets really difficult. Students need to be able to access the services and know what the services actually do before they get to this point.
Excellent, thank you. Erica, same question for you there.
I totally agree with what Taryn just said, and yes, I feel like stuff can have to be advertised more, and it's not just at the beginning of the year, but actually throughout the year as well. Like what I just said, I think more services should be reaching out to students instead of just putting up posters around the campus saying that it's there. But I feel like we need representatives to reach out to student body more often in a larger scale to say that to promote, to advertise all the services and make the students aware of it's actually there.
Great stuff. So Patrick, over to you. And again, the question is, what can be done to make students more aware of the services that the SU currently offer?
Well, since my time in the SU as a part-time officer, this has come up quite a lot in terms of how we get the message across to students what the SU offers. Everyone's a member of the SU, but they don't really feel that it benefits them. So we need to really get the message across that there's going to be tangible benefits. I think one of the key things is that when people look at the SU, they see it mainly as a social organisation, someone who organises their nights out, the people who work in the bar and so forth. So if I was elected, I'd be working to improve the services in terms of making it clear that it's not just about that. They offer a range of services. For example, SU Learn, I think it's pretty amazing what it does. A few weeks ago, I went to a leadership course and was able to learn things that I didn't think I'd learn about. I had my own concept of leadership, but then I heard other people's views. So it's important we let them know that this service as an SU is about students. It's about also helping them get a great degree and job, not just about having a good time.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Kaylin, just to close this question out.
I believe the SU could be more responsive to students in general, and I believe that's something that can definitely be worked on. I think a lot more face-to-face contact would be beneficial. If we had the SU members actually go out into the squares and meet us more often, I think that could be very beneficial. I also think advertisements in squares would be great. I mean, there's only so far you can get with a poster, and I myself am a film student, so I kind of know the power of, say, a short film can do. I know last year I did a short film for the Bystander Intervention Programme, and that is on the university website. However, I do believe more advertisement is needed to really connect with the students. There's only so much an email or a poster can do. So I do understand the importance of advertising, but also connecting with people that you speak to. And I think if I was elected to be VP Welfare, I would want to be someone that's you're always able to talk to, and you can send me an email and I'm going to reply as soon as I can, and I'm going to talk to you and just be there to listen. And that's what I want from a VP Welfare.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. So now we're going to move on to final statements. So everybody's got a minute just to sum up why you should vote for them. Taryn, your final thoughts.
Okay, so I think I'm the best candidate for the role. I've been at the university a really long time. I've been a part of the SU in many different roles for a really long time. I've got a really kind of fantastic knowledge about the services that the uni offers and the SU offers and what we can do to improve them, having access to them myself. And I think we can do more. I've also I'm not the sort of person where I will take stuff lying down. I think my slogan says it all. But no, that's exactly kind of what sums up. I am blunt. I'm not going to take stuff lying down. I will fight for students, and I will fight for students' well-being until my dying breath. But no, and it's something I've done with stuff like the LGBT and Friends Society, through the Feminist Society. I'm so passionate about the causes and how they affect different liberations, but particularly students. Students have so much to deal with, and I think students are being squeezed so hard right now, and we need someone that can deal with that.
Great stuff. Erica, you've got a minute for your final thoughts.
I'm not going to be promising any big amazing changes that I'm going to bring to the student body, but I will promise that I'll do as much as I can, even just the smallest thing. Like if a free coffee on a Monday morning can help you get yourself motivated to lectures, or free piece of cake at 3 p.m. will actually make you feel better after a stressful day. I'll try to work on that. I'll try to protect everyone from haters' comments on this campus, because everyone should be able to have a freedom of speech. They should be protected from all the hateful comments. I'll try to make the student body less stressful, since university is a stressful place. But at the same time, I feel like everyone should everyone deserve a really good time in their uni.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We're going to move to Patrick now. Your final thoughts.
So basically, I'm a good candidate for this role because I'm a compassionate individual caring about student issues. This role is particularly challenging because it's so diverse in terms of everyone's an individual. You're representing so many different people with complex issues, but I feel that I have the personal qualities to deal with those issues because I'm a good communicator but also a good listener. I generally take the time to understand people's problems because I generally have no self-interest in the role or anything else. It matters to me that students are listened to. Outside of my course, a lot of my time is spent involved in helping other people's lives get better. I have a volunteer role with Suffolk Refugee Support, and I work as an English tutor for the refugee teaching programme. And it's about seeing that look in people's eyes when you're generally helping them and you know it's made a difference. And I know it's going to be challenging, but if any of us can do one thing to help one person, it's worth it.
Excellent, thank you very much. Kaylin, just to round this debate out, your final thoughts.
I think I'm the best person for this role because I'm someone who really cares. I'm someone who wants the university experience to be better. I've spent 4 years of my life here. I love this university and I want you guys to love it too. I want to make you guys feel safe and secure and able to walk home in the dark without any fear of being harassed. That was part of why I was a student support frontrunner last summer, and I worked on the bystander intervention campaign to stop harassment, sexual harassment, racial harassment and gender harassment of any sort of harassment. I just wanted to completely obliterate it because I think that's awful, and that's not what this university is about. It's a very open and diverse and welcoming university, and I want to be part of the SU and represent that. I want to prove that this university can be as safe and as caring and welcoming to anyone that comes along.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to all of our candidates for VP Welfare and Community. We're going to take a short break now while we set up for our next debate, which is VP Activities. We'll be back here at about 7:20, so we'll see you then.